Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Slowey and I am the Operations Director here at Qdos. In this video today, we're going to be talking about how bad IR35 reform has been for business. Now, we're just past the 1 year point from the introduction of reform in the private sector, and over the last couple of months we've saw various reports from the National Audit Office, from the Finance Bill Subcommittee, Qdos ourselves, we've published some research, and actually we've recently seen some research from IPSE as well, which I'll be focusing a little bit about in this video. Now, in terms of how IR35 reform has affected businesses, I just want to call out a couple of key stats from IPSE's research. 49% of the respondents to IPSE's research said that they would not have seen the same outcomes in their businesses had it not been for contractors. In addition to that, 35% of organisations said that they've actually found it difficult to attract and retain contractor and freelance talent since the introduction of the legislation itself. Now, we know that across the board, organisations have found it difficult to manage and balance the compliance, commercial, operational and financial risk decisions that all come into play when it comes to IR35 reform. Lots of organisations have suffered as a result of losing key contractor talent through not being able to implement pragmatic approaches to IR35 compliance. We saw lots of organisations have knee-jerk reactions by either blanket banning contractors or attributing a blanket status to a large proportion of contractors. In Qdos' experience, from the work that we've undertaken with end hiring organisations, in advance of reform and the original date in 2020 and subsequent to the introductory date of 2021, we know that organisations can introduce a fair and compliant assessment mechanism that commercially makes sense for the organisations, can actually ensure relevant risks, and the processes themselves can be fairly straightforward and not too burdensome from an administration perspective. Organisations need to recognise that just because they took a certain position in advance of reform, they do have the opportunity and can in fact look to reconsider their position. What we're seeing a lot in the marketplace and the organisations that we're advising, and equally what we would recommend, is that organisations look to undertake a form of annual assessment on how they actually manage IR35 compliance in the business. You want to consider that from a couple of angles. Firstly, are you actually adhering to the compliance processes that you have set out? Secondly, how could you actually look to consider your position? Are there opportunities for the business to reposition how it engages contractors, where perhaps you might see the ability to engage more contractors on an outside of IR35 basis? And in addition to that, really understand the business impacts yourself of perhaps the position that you have taken. So are there key projects that are on hold? Are there pieces of business that you're unable to progress with because you're struggling from a talent perspective? And this all-encompassing review, which can be conducted internally or through the use of engaging a specialist like Qdos, will give you a view of what IR35 compliance in your organisation looks like today, but what it could potentially look like going forward. It's also important to remember that there are tools and services and solutions out there for organisations to actually support with the undertaking of the individual case-by-case IR35 assessments. And as I said before, just because you took a particular stance at the outset, made a decision to use HMRC's CEST or some other form of tool, it doesn't mean that you have to stick with that and that you have opportunity. Now that the dust has settled, now that the business has grown in appreciation for IR35 and actually understands the immediate effect it's had on your organisation within the last 12 months, that now is perhaps the time to take stock, review and understand how you could better optimise your IR35 compliance to the benefit of the organisation, given the landscape of labour market challenges that we're actually currently seeing at present. Thank you for watching our video today. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with news and announcements from Qdos.